This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
So Matt, I don't know if you know this, but my dad used to ride motorcycles. Actually, he still does.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he used to ride motorcycles.
And you do not.
I have my motorcycle license, but no.
You do?
Yeah. So Valor and I, we had a Harley, a 2003 Heritage Softail that we then sold to my dad when she was 6 or 8 months pregnant. And here's why. Here's why we sold it to him. Because when my dad, when I was turning 1 year old, my dad was in a really bad motorcycle accident, like horrible. He's lucky to be alive, but he couldn't work for like a year and some change. So he's out of work for a long time. And so growing up, I always heard this story about how he had, what did he call it? Income protection insurance. He was always talking about how this income protection insurance allowed him and my mom to be able to keep the house. Because then later on in life, so he's bedridden because he had this motorcycle accident. Meanwhile, my mom.
So how long was he bedridden?
I can't remember. He missed my 1 year old birthday party because he was in the hospital.
Oh, wow.
So I was a little guy.
Sure,
right?
you don't remember, but
I don't remember. But he was unable to work, unable to do anything. Meanwhile, my mom was pregnant with the twins, my brother and sister, and so she was stuck. At one point, she was had been assigned bed rest, and so, but this income protection that they had allowed them to keep their mortgage payment coming, keep their mortgage current, keep everything going, and that is so. Growing up, I've heard the story, countless times, and then I got into real estate, and I was like, well, shoot, how do I get anything that somewhat is a semblance of income protection? And then that's when I met Jenna just a few weeks ago. And so on the show today, we have Jenna Sullivan with Family Heritage. And what's great about what your product is that it's something like income protection, but more. You mind sharing a little bit about what it is you guys do?
Of course. So Globe Life Family Heritage Division is the name of the company. So we've been around since 1900, over 13 million policyholders. And the biggest thing about what we do is government has everyone thinking vision, dental health, vision, dental health. We've all been programmed to think that's all we need. But I have a question for everyone listening out there. Who pays the patient? Yeah. No one pays the patient. I have people on my own team. So what do you
mean by, can you explain that
sure.
by what you mean by pay the patient?
Yes. So there's tons of examples, but I have someone on my team that was out for 18 months. Healthy guy, surfs all the time, got stomach cancer. Okay. So if you're out of work for that length of time and you're hospitalized, you're going through it, where is the funds coming from? Who is going to be paying you?
So the insurance pays the doctors, the hospitals, the medications.
Right.
But what about your income? Who's paying you personally? That's what you mean by who pays the patient.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to cover expenses like, your mortgage or groceries, right?
Yeah.
Or electricity bill.
Sure.
Stuff like that.
Or travel.
Travel, co-payments, deductibles, outpatient charges. There's been massive changes to healthcare. And if you look at your own, you'll notice there's percentages. They'll pay a percentage of things. Well, how much was that bill? If they're paying 80, what's your 20? What is that going to look like? What are the deductibles? Is it $3,000? Is it $6,000? I mean, some families, that's a big number to swallow if something like that happens.
Yeah.
So that is a big deal too. Medications that aren't covered. If you look through everything, there's a lot of vague language in there, a lot of may, a lot of if. Mm-hmm. And if it's not covered, where are the funds going to come from? I have cancer patients where the drugs they need are $11,000 a month. Their insurance may cover a percentage. Where are the other thousands going to come from?
And you constantly see people trying to bridge that gap with like GoFundMe and like fundraisers, and it's heartbreaking. But you're saying if they worked with you, you'd be able to help them with that.
100%.
So what is that? Can you give us some examples of like people you've helped in the past?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have tons and tons of handwritten testimonials that are in their own words, and I think it's really powerful coming directly from the client. This one's from Debbie. She said, purchasing this policy when I became self-employed was the single smartest financial decision I've ever made. Your coverage put my disability policy to shame. They stopped paying 2 years into what is now a 9.5-year fight with cancer.
Wow.
Family Heritage kept me out of bankruptcy and saved me from homelessness.
Yep.
So
9.5 years. Oh my goodness.
Because they typically cover, 3, 5, 7 years?
Typically on disability, yep.
Yeah. And you can't work when you're on disability. But with this product, you are able to work,
You
right?
can. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you can use the funds for whatever you want. We've had people, I was sharing with you earlier, where his wife had a heart attack. They used it to make their entire house ADA accessible. So you can use the funds for any way you see fit, which really makes a huge difference. This one from Sarah is also incredible. She said 2 years ago, our agent John came to sell us this insurance.
Not me. Somebody else. Yeah.
Didn't want to buy it first, but he said the premiums would be taken right out of my check and I wouldn't miss them. And on a positive note, if we didn't use it, after 20 years, we would get our money back. So I said yes, never really thinking I'd use it. This summer, I gave birth to the most perfect little boy, but after 10 hours, he was taken to St. Louis, Missouri to find out he had a rare heart defect, which actually, sidebar, is really common. 40,000 infants, just as a quick statistic, each year are affected by different congenital heart defects. That's triple childhood cancer. It just doesn't get the propaganda. So just to add that to your tool belt. But 1 week later, we discovered that my son was going to need a heart transplant.
No.
So after hearing this heartbreaking news, we immediately called John. He walked us through step by step how to begin the paperwork to start our claim. Not only did he call every other day and check on how we're doing, but he came to the hospital to visit. Turner received his heart, and he was home before 2 months old. The people at the claims department were friendly and helpful. The claims were processed quickly. We received our money already. And thanks to Family Heritage, my son will never have to worry about anything financially. They have given us enough money to buy a new house, pay for his meds, and put money aside for both of our children. Thank you to Family Heritage for changing our lives.
That's cool.
I mean, it's life-altering stuff. And just the fact he goes to the hospital, that's not common. I mean, we have grown men crying on conference calls every week because we're a faith-based company. We're allowed to pray, for our patients, like the things that, and with our patients, the things that we're able to do and to be there with these clients. I mean, our customer satisfaction scores are through the roof. It's very different than any other insurance company I have ever seen or experienced.
And what's interesting too is Valor and I raised some money. We were part of a campaign for LLS, Leukemia and Lymphoma Society.
Yeah.
And so we learned a little bit about what families go through when they have like a disease like cancer or whatever it is. And oftentimes the travel is horrendous because you're traveling to cancer treatment centers or staying in hospitals. So you're paying for plane tickets, you're paying for hotel stays, you're paying for food. But with Family Heritage, you guys are able to help with that. Huge.
So, I mean, we pay up to 60 cents a mile, up to $2,500 per flight for you and someone to go with you. If it's a child, it's both parents and the child. That is life-altering, and up to $200 a night for hotel reimbursement. If you're able to get treated where you want versus where you can afford, I mean, it is a game changer. Yeah. I have personal family members where they said there were 30 days left to live, and instead was able to have years and years alive and comfortable and have hope because of this. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's been just huge. I've had so many different family members use it. And with travel, I actually have one that I shared recently with Johnny's team, but Robert, he said, when I purchased this cancer policy, we had two major health insurances. One through my wife, she's actually a teacher, city of Stockton, and one through myself, and he actually works at a rehab hospital. He said, I didn't think I needed the supplemental cancer policy, but I took it because of the 100% refund. And we do hear that a lot. Like the reason people get this, one is because if something happens, right, we pay you. But if nothing happens, we pay you.
You get the money back.
Yeah, you get the money back. And as California, I mean, as a whole state, we're not great savers. So this is a way to set money aside. You're getting it all back. And if something does happen to you prior, we give it to your family. It doesn't just evaporate into thin air. One of the biggest things with insurance is people will say, why are most people underinsured? Well, I'll tell you, one is it's too expensive. And two, if you don't use it, you just throw all your money out the window.
Yeah.
Well, what if it wasn't too expensive? And what if we gave it back to you if you didn't use it? I mean, when someone told that to me, I said, well, yeah, everyone would have it.
Yeah.
And Howard said, good, that's our product. That's exactly how I want people to feel, because people shouldn't be worried about finances when they have big things like Robert. He literally says, unfortunately, my son Joey was diagnosed with brain cancer at the young age of 15. I can't tell you how many clients. I've been here almost 8 years. My dad, my brother, my uncle, my aunt, my best friend, we all work here. This is a family business for us. And I can't tell you how many children are perfectly healthy and then it happens. Do I think I'm going to get cancer? No. But is it possible? Yeah, 1 in 3 says it is, right?
Yeah.
And the two things that people have to realize is that it's possible and that it's financially devastating. He goes on to say, Joey battled cancer for 2 years, and even though we had great coverage, there was still out-of-pocket deductibles and unforeseen costs that had to be met. We traveled numerously to Houston and even lived there for weeks while he was being treated. All of my transportation and hotel expense was reimbursed back to me. I received over $70,000. I thank God I had family heritage. Every man, woman, and child should have a cancer policy. Joey was a brave young man who never showed fear during his battle and was willing to do anything and go anywhere. He fought a good fight. He wanted to live and frequently told me, Dad, trust God. That's exactly what we did. And Family Heritage helped to afford to give our son the very best care.
Wow.
Like
it's
it's
heavy.
Big.
And for the skeptics out there, they're like wondering why are you able to pay out? Why, if after 20 or 25 years, do I get all of the money I've paid back?
Sure.
Do you mind just talking briefly how that works? Because most people aren't aware of what these insurance companies are doing with the premiums.
Honestly, any insurance company could do this, right? All financial institutions function the same way. They invest, right? They invest your funds. They make so much money on your money, which is a beautiful thing. I mean, with 13 million policyholders, they make an awful lot of money. Mm-hmm. So to give the client back their initial investment, our founder calls it a loyalty benefit. Like, these clients were loyal to you. Like, we made so much money on these clients. Why wouldn't you give them back their initial investment and make them feel secure, make them feel good about having this? If nothing happened, they get back their initial investment. And what's huge about this is it keeps going at the same rate. It doesn't stop. Every other policy I've seen, once you term out, that's it. And now you have to re-up at a new age. And now you're older and it costs a lot more money, or they cancel on you, right? It's done. And then you have to re-qualify, which is another problem with a lot of policies. This one you don't. It keeps going. He said, again, these are your clients. They are loyal to you. Take care of them. Our founder, Howard Lewis, I've had dinner with him multiple times. I've met our CEO. I've sat down with our entire executive leadership team. And that in itself is an anomaly. I was in finance for 13 years. I worked for all the big dogs. I worked for Wells Fargo. I worked for JP Morgan Chase, Alliant Exchange. I was in national sales with JP Morgan. So these are, big positions. You don't sit down with this, with the owner of the company. That's not how that works. Cool. The founder, and be able to talk, just openly and candidly. Yeah. And the way he thinks, my favorite thing is common sense, right? Common sense and just humility and human decency.
Taking care of people.
It's beautiful. Yeah. It really is.
So when we come back, we're going to talk about exactly who these policies can benefit. We're going to give some specific examples. So whether you're self-employed or you are employed by somebody else, we're going to go and cover that in detail.
If you knew a company had almost 1,000 5-star Google reviews, if you knew that they were voted number 1 in the area 3 years in a row, you would conclude that these guys know what they're doing, right? Well, that's who Johnny Jennings is with his team at Made for More Realty. They sell homes faster, on average, than everyone else in the area, and for higher selling prices. For instance, they've helped many couples who wanted to retire and move out of state, be closer to the grandkids, and they were able to sell those homes in record amount of time and for a record price for that neighborhood. It's the entire team at Made for More Realty, along with Johnny Jennings and his wife, Valerie, making sure you get the best service possible, that you're taken care of, and you don't have to worry about a thing when it comes to selling your home. In fact, they guarantee at least 3 cash offers on your home in as-is condition. So if you want more for your home, just Google Johnny Jennings and Made for More Realty and get more for your home.